We wanted to make a slightly different video this week to our usual vlog to answer some of your most frequently asked questions about our truck camper project, about us, and about our long-term off-grid plan.
We really love reading all the comments that we get from you all, but we don't always get to go into as much detail as we like. So in this video, we're going to go through a bunch of different topics, like how we found the yard to work on the build, what's going to happen to the truck once it's finished, how much things cost, and probably a bit more about us as well.
This could end up getting quite involved, so we've added chapters that you can skip through to find the info that you need. But don't do that, because...
Yeah, watch it all.
Watch it all. So if you're just joining us, I'm Hayley.
And I'm Peter.
And we've been talking about finding land and building a life off-grid since we met like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
We're really drawn to the idea of self-sufficiency and doing things for ourselves, but we also love building and learning and being in nature and basically problem solving. But it's been one of those things that you dream about and you talk about over and over, but it wasn't really happening. And we'd say, like, we'll just work and save up, and then one day when we're rich, we'll do it.
Yeah, so about 6 months ago, and I don't really know what caused it, but we decided to just start. Just look around and see what there was, no commitments, just a bit of harmless research. And then all of a sudden everything kind of started falling into place.
So we have a plan, a half plan, but if we waited for everything to be set up perfectly first, we'd never have started. So if it looks like we're flying by the seat of our pants sometimes, it's probably because we are.
Definitely are, yeah. So let's talk about how we got started, and one of the most asked about topics, which is how we found somewhere to work on the truck. I think this was a sticking point for us and for most people looking to do a van conversion or a truck camper or a tiny house build or something like that. And it really was for us. I think we talked about building a tiny house for quite a while, but the fact that we didn't know where we would put it really stopped us from moving any further with it.
Yeah, I guess we weren't ready then.
No, yeah.
So how did we actually find the land or find the yard that we're working on now? I think the first thing that we tried was looking on local Facebook groups. I think we put some posts out to see if anyone knew anyone in the local area that had any space. And I think there were a couple that ended up, we went and had a look just from a couple of posts on Facebook.
Yeah, people tagging people with like farms or businesses and stuff like that with space. I also looked on Google Maps just around where we were for farms and industrial estates. And then I'd contact them, give them a call, and either they would have something or they would pass us on to someone that they thought might be able to help.
Yeah, and we searched for actual caravan storage places that are already geared up to store vehicles and things like that. Something to note if you're doing this yourself is that a lot of storage places, or specifically places where there's a landowner and they're looking after people's caravans or whatever, they don't advertise where they are. So it is a lot of word of mouth just for security. We went to one and they came and met us up the road because they wanted to check us out before they showed us where everything was. So there's probably a lot more out there than it looks like there is. So asking your friends as well. Ask a friend and then they ask a couple of friends for you. And well, eventually that's what worked for us because, it's a friend of a friend who has the yard that we're on that we ended up staying on. So how much does it cost?
Well, the first place we went to, they wanted about £50 a week. And that was for essentially the size of a largish garage, wasn't it? Like it'd been okay to store a big caravan on.
But what we ended up with is £70 a month for our little piece of hard standing. We have power where we are as well. We have 2 plug sockets to plug into, which are in the toilet block, which is right next to us as well. So we have those facilities too.
Yeah, and that's a bargain. Like that's mate's rates, to be honest. I would be surprised. Like I think £50 a week is pretty much the going rate for that kind of stuff.
I don't know, you never know. If it's a friend of a friend, you can only ask. Is it secure? Where we are at the moment isn't as secure as like a barn would be because we are outside, but we're behind 2 locked gates and we don't leave anything valuable behind anyway. We take all of our tools to and from the yard whenever we go. There's some CCTV cameras dotted about as well. We're going to make a much longer, more in-depth video about how to find a yard to work on your van conversion or your tiny house. And we'll go into more details about what to do when you get there and things to consider like power, access to water and all these kinds of things that in hindsight are quite obvious, but when you're first looking around you don't really think of these things. So we'll do that. If there is a card up here now, we've made it and you can go and watch it. Otherwise, subscribe and click the bell and you'll get notified when we've done it. So moving on to our second topic, shopping for trucks. We didn't really start viewing trucks until after we'd found somewhere to park it and work on it. We didn't want to find an amazing truck and then not be able to get it because we couldn't take it away. And it was less overwhelming to go in stages.
We went through a bunch of different ideas and looked at a lot of different types of trucks, which was a lot of fun, I must admit. And it took us a while to figure out exactly what we needed and what we wanted from the truck. We looked at some quite new ones and some really old battered ones. We looked at refrigerated trucks, and at one point we were looking at converting like a 15-ton Volvo fire engine, which would have been really cool. But ultimately, we ended up buying our 1997 Mercedes LN2 814 from a scrapyard. It's the 7.5-ton EcoPower, 4-cylinder with a turbo, and it had a very stinky old horse box on the back. We've covered the whole truck choosing process in our first episode. Here.
I don't know where we're putting it.
Is the truck okay? The MOT ran out about 18 months ago, but there was nothing major listed, just some minor corrosion dotted about, which we've found.
And are dealing with. Yeah, things like the brakes need servicing, the suspension is being replaced, and the engine, it drove to us. So it's not like we've gone to a scrapyard and they've had to haul it over on a trailer or anything like that. Like, it drove.
Yeah, that's probably important.
The last time we saw it, it did drive.
Yeah.
So we're not anticipating anything terrible.
It also drove to the scrapyard.
It did.
So I think it was running absolutely fine, but it needed quite a lot of work to get it through its next MOT. And as a horse box, the floor was so rotten, like it was useless. So I think it just wasn't worth the work that it needed.
Yeah, it would have ended up being shipped abroad. I think that's what normally happens.
Yeah, a lot of
trucks.
these old trucks end up in Africa, but yeah, we
nabbed it.
We got an absolute bargain.
Do you have a license to drive the truck? And what license do you need?
No, I don't have a license, and neither do you. You need to drive up to 7.5 tons in the UK at the moment, 2024. You need a C1 license, or you needed to have passed your test before 1997, and that gives you something called grandfather rights, and you can drive up to 7.5 tons. So I expect what I'm going to do, because you're not too interested in doing the test, so you can drive on the big old truck. Not yet. I think what I'm going to do is get a full C license, which lets you drive any weight rigid truck. So not a lorry, like an articulating lorry, but any sized rigid truck.
Do we have to use the tacho that's fitted?
No, we don't, because we're not using it for commercial use, and because it's under 7.5 tons, we don't.
And it's over 25 years old.
And it's over 25 years old.
So all of this means that it falls under private use, so we don't have to use a tacho. If it was over 7.5 tons, even if it's for private use, you would have to use a tacho.
Yeah, and those rules did change kind of recently, didn't they? So,
yeah, it was to do with the EU.
Yeah, and that info's straight from the DVLA.
Yes.
Or the DSA. So why this truck? Big topic.
We chose it because it was cheap. It had pretty low mileage for the truck that it is. I don't think it's quite done 200,000 miles. And it's really basic.
Yeah, there's no complicated electronic stuff. I mean, we're still learning at the moment about how it all works, but one day we want to be able to do all the major maintenance and fixes and stuff ourselves, like confidently.
Yeah, and after we looked at the fridge box trucks and the moving trucks, we realised that we only needed to focus on the chassis cab itself, because we'd just be removing any box on the back anyway and building something custom.
Yeah, I think when we realised that we wanted to build our own custom habitat on the back, we kind of stopped caring about what the type of truck was.
Yeah, it was all about the chassis.
Yeah.
And we decided to stick with 7.5 ton, at least for this build, because it just felt more manageable, and the equipment needed just for this is still way heftier than anything that we're used to.
Yeah. When you go up to a 15-ton, for example, like the fire engine, everything was so massive.
Everything is huge.
And yeah, when we went for a drive in one, it just felt like really overwhelming. And then we went and saw the little Mercedes, and it was like, oh, this seems so nice.
Yeah, I think I wonder if we'd seen it in a different order, how we would have felt about it. But just coming off of that ride in the fire engine was just like,
that was terrifying. We've got some footage of that, haven't we? My face, I'm just like, oh my God.
What is the timeline for this conversion?
Yes. Well, we've got to fix it up mechanically, get it MOT'd, and then build the entire habitat. We would really like to go away in it by summer 2025, so like 8 or 9 months away. but that's probably being quite optimistic because the winter, everything just takes much longer in the winter as well. So
yeah, it's going a bit slow.
maybe we could do something in the summer. That would be cool, just to go away for a little bit.
Where do you plan to go when it's built? What type of travelling, if any? Stealth camping, campsites? Do you want to go abroad to Europe and stuff like that?
I think because it kind of aligns with our long-term plan, what we'll do first is travel around the UK, possibly some places abroad, but we're going to visit other off-grid projects. Like there's a few off-grid communities and stuff that we'd like to go visit and learn about how they're doing it. We don't plan on doing much travel, really, like travel just for travel's sake. I think we'll travel around with intention of like what we want to learn or what we want to see.
Yeah, I think we probably would have picked a more economical truck if we were going to go, well, do a lot of travelling, like around Europe and stuff, because they have pretty strict emissions rules and stuff like that.
Yeah, we wouldn't be allowed in any major cities and stuff now.
Yeah, it's pretty weird that we're doing this and don't actually plan to travel.
Yeah,
but
people often ask us like, where are you going to go? And we're like, well, nowhere really.
Well, that brings us on to our next topic, really, which is going off-grid.
Our long-term plan.
Yeah, so building our tiny living space on the back of a truck is just the beginning, really, of the rest of our lives.
Yeah, hopefully.
We don't plan to live out on the road, but we do need a movable home for when we buy our kind of homestead land empire. And the reason it starts with a vehicle is that if you want to just buy land and live on it, particularly here in the UK, well, you can't really.
Not really, no. Not legally.
Yeah, with the exception of Wales, which has the One Planet scheme, One Planet development.
Yeah.
Very, very, very difficult, if not impossible, to get residential planning on agricultural land that's out away from towns.
Yeah, and even if you do it, it can take 10, 15 years to get it all sorted out. It's crazy. Yeah,
so our kind of way around it is we're going to be starting a business on our land first. So we'll offer camping and glamping and off-grid experiences, like building workshops, festivals,
events and talks.
And then we'll apply for some residential space if we can, if that comes up.
Our thinking is that as long as we're technically camping, we can start growing food, building huts, tiny houses.
Yeah.
Make a badminton court.
Yeah. A swimming pond.
Yeah. A roller rink.
That'd be amazing. Basically, think centre parks, like a holiday village, but for people that like the alternative lifestyle, like escaping normal society and all that off-grid stuff. It's going to be great.
We're not going to go into this completely blind. We are entrepreneurial, I suppose, and we've built things before. We've done a bit of a van conversion before. We built like a wooden cabin in our garden that we used for an office for a long time from scratch. And I just think that we've started in a good way, because if we just jumped straight to buying the land and then trying to figure it out, it would have been really crazy. And I think that starting small, we've given ourselves like a platform that we can then use to grow from,
Yeah, and we're building a reputation as well, which will help with getting the land, hopefully, especially for business later on.
Yeah.
Maybe it would help to understand our motivations a bit more if you knew a little bit more about us. So, a few common questions. Where are we based?
We're currently in Hampshire, in the south of the UK. Hayley has always lived in and around Southampton, New Forest and Bournemouth. And I was born in Wales, in Barry, from Gavin and Stacey. I don't know where that is. And then grew up in Surrey. We met on a dating app 7 years ago, and then I moved in, and then we got married.
We got married in June
2022.
Well done.
Another common one, what are our jobs? Do we have normal jobs, or are we just messing around on YouTube all the time?
Not messing around all the time. We run a music school, and we go there on Saturdays to run the sessions. Pete's a drummer, so he teaches drums, and we teach 7-year-olds all the way up to adults. We also have a bit of a background in media, so Pete has a degree in film and broadcast engineering, and I just do a lot of graphic design and web development stuff. We're doing a lot of videography, but
yeah, we ran like a video production company together for quite a long time.
But we're gradually doing less and less of that now and putting more time into the truck building like the YouTube channel and stuff. So it's just kind of gradually crossing over.
Yeah. Well, I say gradually. It's been pretty crazy twist, isn't it? Come on over to working on
we're
YouTube
both pretty tired.
Yeah. But it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been really good because up until this point we've been sat at a desk for hours on end, like every day.
Making videos for other people.
Yes.
And now we get to make them for ourselves, yeah.
Yeah, it's not good for humans to live indoors at a desk.
No.
That's another big driving factor, I think, for us to just get off our butts and
get outdoors, get in nature, do stuff with our hands.
Make it happen.
Yeah. How do we afford this?
Don't know.
I don't know.
Sure.
We don't at the moment. I mean, we do have some savings and stuff. The YouTube channel is monetized, so that does help a bit. You know, we get some money from YouTube ads, so that's down to all of you guys watching.
Thank you.
Yes. We are going to look for investors and stuff like that when we get to that stage, you know, looking for the land. And like we said, we are going to run this as a proper business. It's not going to be sneakily living in the woods for a while. It's going to be, you know, on the books or by the book. Yeah. And on the books. Yeah.
Literally.
So when that time comes, we'll be looking for investors, possibly. But who knows? We might be super famous YouTubers by then and making bank.
Yeah, we're pretty thrifty, so
yeah, we are. Yeah,
we're good at stretching our money.
Yeah,
as
people
far as
seem to
possible.
think we've spent loads so far on the truck. And
we
the
might
marquee,
have done. I'm not looking.
No, it hasn't been. It hasn't been crazy much.
Okay. Will we be making extra space for a child in the truck?
No. And that's not just me saying that, right?
No, we'll be making lots of space for our cat. There will be space for her. She likes a hammock.
Yeah, she likes to hammock, she likes to climb things. We need to figure out how we're going to travel around with her in the truck.
Yeah, we'll have to teach her to be okay with it.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
She's really smart.
Very chilled.
She's kind of trained.
I think it'll be fine. We'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. But yeah, we've seen lots of videos of people training cats to live in trucks and stuff.
It'll be great.
But yeah, no kids, just a cat.
So let's move on to the next topic, which is workshop and tools. We don't have any indoor space, so we had to build our own in order to keep going with the truck after the beautiful but short UK summer was over. And the prefabbed work tent, like the portable pop-up garages, are like, well, anywhere between £3,000 and £7,000.
Yeah, they're like for storing boats, because the issue is our truck is very tall. That's the issue. Like, you can get long garages and stuff for 1,200 quid or something like that, but we needed the height, so you're looking at yacht storage tents and stuff like that.
Yeah. So being the thrifty people that we are, we built our own from a second-hand marquee, some fence posts, and a lot of ratchet straps.
A lot of ratchet straps. Yeah, it's 12 metres by 6 metres, the marquee.
How much did it cost?
So at the time of this video, I'll break it down. The marquee was £350. All the timber was about £300.
Did we say it was a second-hand marquee?
Yeah.
From eBay. Sorry, carry on.
The plastic wrap, we got that for free because I'm a hoarder.
Yeah, we bought it ages ago, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
You could use like pond liner.
Yeah, that would be good, and that's not very expensive. All the ratchet straps that we used, that came to about £80. The extra tarp was £120. The chemical anchor material, including the rebar and stuff, that was 30 quid. All the screws and fixings were about another £30. The electronics was about 110, so that's the running the cables and the junction boxes and stuff. The lights that we've got, the 4 lights and the big dome thingies, that came to £400.
Yeah, that definitely could have been done a bit cheaper, but we needed filming lights.
We needed decent lights, yeah. You can't just use cheap LEDs from Screwfix or floodlights and stuff. You got to have, if you're filming, you got to have nice lights. And then we spent about £130 on van hire.
Oh yeah, we hired a van for like 5 days.
The tea station was free.
Yeah, because it was built from leftover bits from everything else.
Yeah, and stocked by a very kind viewer.
Luke and Kathy.
We won't forget that. Give us money towards biscuits and tea. So the grand total was about £1,550.
Yeah, which is a huge saving.
Yeah. We also looked into getting scaffolding put over. So scaffolding with a hard roof and wrapped sides. To rent that for 6 months was £7,000 as well. So when we found that out, we were like, okay, we're definitely building something.
Yeah, because we're cheap.
Thrifty and poor.
No. We're rich on the inside.
Yeah. Any
Any more plans for the work tent, TM?
Yes. Yeah, we are going to put end walls on. At least one of the ends will be done soon, because the winter is getting really, really cold.
The wind is chilly.
Yeah. So we're putting at least one solid wall on, and we're going to stiffen up the other wall, the other end.
Mm. Why didn't we hire a garage or a unit instead?
And miss out on building our abomination.
It's not an abomination. It's a bit of an abomination.
It's a good bodge. I like it a lot.
We just got such a great price on our space. I don't know if being indoors would have made it worth it for us if we were paying like 4 or 5 times the amount just to be indoors.
We wouldn't be able to afford to do it.
Yeah.
Because
we could have been higher than that.
Yeah, it would, because electric rates and stuff.
Yeah, and then we could be there for like a year or more. So the work tent's already paid for itself.
Yeah, 100%.
If you look at it that way.
Yeah. Why didn't we leave enough room around us for the boat and the trailer? This is a comment that we had when we first released the video for making the Worktent TM.
What if he wants to get his boat out?
Yeah. Don't worry. We were assured when we moved onto the pitch by the owner that the owner of the boat and the trailer wouldn't be wanting to move them anytime soon. If we have to, we would be able to take it down and like make enough space for them to move the trailer and the boat. We don't really show much of the yard where we are because there's lots of other people's property and stuff. So, but there is enough room to get a crane in to pick up that boat.
If we really need to.
We actually saw the guy that owns the boat, and he came in, looked at the gap between the boat and our tent, looked at us and was like, "Right," and they left.
Yeah, so it's fine.
That's a verbal contract. We're fine.
We'll make a more in-depth video about the work tent at some point as well, because a lot has happened with the build, and there's definitely some things that we would do differently.
Yes.
Or sooner. More to the point. Again, if we've made the video at the time that you're watching this, there's a card up here. Otherwise, we'll make it soon and we'll let you know.
So, what brand of tools are we using?
Makita, battery stuff. We've got a new big DeWalt impact wrench. It's a beast.
That's an insane tool. And we've got...
and some Ryobi stuff as well. That's my...
Ryobi
tool
nail
light,
gun.
power tool light for me.
Ryobi nail gun,
an angle
like
grinder.
A little one, and a little angle grinder. Yeah, all really good.
Don't really have a preference. Well, the DeWalt's just insane.
Whatever's a good value at the time, really.
We're now into like 3 different types of tool with the battery pack.
Our big 9-inch angle grinder is from Lidl's.
Yeah, it's not even ours.
It's not ours, it's our neighbour's. Thanks, Harry. I'm keeping it.
Do we have a preference? Not really.
No, unless someone wants to pay us to have a preference. If anyone knows anyone that works at any major tool suppliers. Bosch would be nice. What's the other one we like? Festool?
Oh,
One day.
I'll change everything for Festool if Festool interested.
We'll
Festool if you're watching.
Want us to say.
So that's going to answer question 7, isn't it? What would we like? I think I'd really like to get up to Festool level.
Yeah,
of tools.
I mean, Festool, like when you're in Festool, you're kind of locked in. I just want stuff that's really good quality. I like to buy a tool that I just have to buy it once, you know. I don't mind investing in decent tools. So what do I want? What would I like? Specific tools.
A track saw.
We're going to need to get one soon. A table saw.
Yes.
One of those.
A workbench.
Just a heavy duty workbench and a heavy duty welding table. That would be amazing. With clamps and stuff.
Yeah, because we're still working on the floor.
I really want a Parweld pulsed MIG set, so I can do really good aluminium welding and stuff. But they're like £2,000-3,000. One day. I want one of those bolt. I've got a big list. One of those.
The induction
bolt heaters.
We're not going to need that soon.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be done. Okay. So back to our current project. Before we get on with building the camper, we're renovating the cab and the chassis, giving it a full service, and then we're going to put it through an MOT. And we've had lots of questions about why we're tackling things the way that we are. We're not mechanics. We're definitely learning as we go. And sometimes we might not do things the usual way or the simplest way,
definitely.
Or even in a way that a normal person would consider. But we're working with what we have, and we have you guys helping us along the way.
Yeah, we've had so much help from all the comments. It's been amazing.
Yeah. So a quick fire round. I'll ask, you answer.
Okay.
Question 1. Why didn't we shot blast the chassis?
It's really expensive and it makes a massive mess because the ends of our tent aren't closed. We would have got grit everywhere. And we looked into the ice blasting as well, because a few people commented about that.
The dry ice.
Dry ice blasting, insanely expensive, at least where we are.
Okay, this is a quick fire round.
Okay, sorry.
Number 2, why didn't we spray paint it?
Basically the same reasons.
Yeah.
we would get paint in the air, the wind would blow it, and it'd land on people's very expensive projects that are around.
Yeah, and I think that the paint that we're using would need touching up with a brush anyway, because it's really thick. 𝐬𝐻 Mastic 90. It's a 2-part thing. It's like 90% solids. It's thick. Do we have a manual for the truck?
Yes, and we got it from
E-manuals online.
Yeah, it's good. Once you figure out how to navigate it, it's good. It's very detailed.
It's the full one.
Yeah,
it's like the full workshop manual for real mechanics.
So it doesn't tell you what things are. It just tells you how to take them off. So like we're looking at things like, is this? Well, I don't know what it is, but I know how to take it off and put it back on again.
Question 4: how are we keeping track of everything we're dismantling?
We're filming it, and then we will watch it in reverse.
Question 5: what has the chassis renovation process been so far?
Apart from chopping up the massive old horse box that was on the back, there's been a lot of grinding off rust, or using the big air-powered needle gun. That's probably the most efficient. Treating the rust with a rust converter, and then painting over the treated rust. And crying.
It's horrible. It's not fun.
No.
We're getting there. Question 6: why did you take the brackets off of the chassis?
Oh yeah, this was a question that quite a few people asked. I spent a long time chopping off old brackets. The brackets that were on there had a lot of rust behind them, and we didn't feel like we could leave them. We are going to build something custom anyway, so we'll replace them with something that's more suitable, essentially, because there's different options of how to mount boxes onto trucks, and yeah, depending on what you're doing, you might need it to be have some allowance for movement and stuff if you're off-road and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, quickfire.
Question 7: where are your thermals from?
Oh, I don't know. You bought them.
They're from eBay. They're Araflame by Port West.
They're amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I want another pair just to wear and keep clean and just
wear around.
You don't have to worry about being cold ever. They're really
they're
good.
really good.
Really good.
They're very budget friendly.
Yeah.
But they're so warm, and they're flame retardant.
How much? Like £35?
It was like £36 each.
We have a lot of plans for the camper build itself. A lot of ideas floating around our heads, and I think we're probably overdue a video talking about the future designs of the camper, like the materials that we're going to use, our budget, and fun stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, do subscribe and you'll be notified when we release that video.
That means you've got some CAD to do.
I like CAD.
We've made a bit of an extra Q&A video on our free Patreon for those of you that really want to know more about our juicy personal lives. But for everyone else, try one of these videos next, and we'll see you soon.